Okay, we shall start the first chapter. Okay, in this session I will try to start the our first unit of our syllabus. Okay, what is the name of the unit 1? Quantum mechanics. Okay, it is quantum mechanics. Now let us see some introduction of quantum mechanics. Okay, we already discussed about the quantum mechanics, means what is quantum mechanics and when we use the quantum mechanics, and also I have given some differences between classical and mechanics and quantum mechanics in the earlier session. So see, classical mechanics successfully explains the motion of the objects which are directly observable or observable with the help of instruments like microscopes or telescopes, whatever it may be. But when the objects are not observable, even with the help of instruments, then one cannot apply the classical concepts. One cannot apply the classical concepts. Okay, then we have to approach the quantum mechanics, which deals with the study and properties of the smallest particles such as electrons, protons, and neutrons. Moreover, classical mechanics fails to explain certain phenomena such as stability of atom, spectrum of hydrogen atom, atomic spectra, and phenomena of black body radiation, photoelectric effect phenomena, and Compton effect phenomena, and specific heat of solids, etc. So classical mechanics fails to explain all these phenomena before 1900s. So, but main problem was occur here in explanation of the phenomena of black body radiation. In order to explain this particular phenomena of black body radiation, several scientists has tried. First, the scientist Wien uh, tried to explain the phenomena. Of course, he has successfully explained this phenomena, but only at the lower wavelengths only. He failed to explain this phenomena at the higher wavelengths. Later, the scientists Raleigh and Jeans, Raleigh and Jeans, they also tried to explain the phenomena of black body radiation. Of course, they have succeeded to explain this phenomena, but only at the higher wavelengths only. But they failed to explain this phenomena at the lower wavelengths. Later, what happened in the year of 1901? The scientist Max Planck proposed a revolutionary theory which is named as the quantum theory. I already told about the quantum theory. So for this invention, Max Planck was awarded a Nobel Prize in physics in the year of 1918. So what quantum theory states exactly? Let us see. Quantum theory states that the exchange of energy between the atoms is not continuous. Okay, the exchange of energy between the atoms is not continuous. It should be in the form of some discrete amount of energy quantas or energy packets or the wave packets. These light quantas or these energy packets are named as the photons. They are named as the photon. And according to this quantum theory proposed by Planck, the energy of the each photon E equals to h nu. Okay, if you feel any point as an important for you, you just note it down. Okay, you just make a note of it. Okay, why? Because in each of every beginning of the class daily, I will ask you what you have learned in the earlier sessions. First 5 minutes I will meant for to ask some questions what you have learned in the earlier session. So it is better to make a note of it if you feel any line or any statement as important. Okay, right? According to Planck's quantum theory, E equals to h nu. Okay, or in other words, we can also write E equals to h into some c by lambda. Okay, from this, what we can conclude here, if the lambda is small, then E will be large. Okay, if lambda is large, then E will be small. Means greater is the wavelength of radiation, lower will be the energy. Okay, lower will be the wavelength, greater will be the energy. Okay, or in other words, yes, please. Any problem? Right. Or in other words, we can state the same theory as from E equals to h nu, we can write E is always proportional to nu, means it always depends upon the frequency of radiation. Or in other words, h nu, what is h here? Yes, h is nothing but the Planck's constant. H is nothing but Planck's constant, whose value is 6.626 into 10 raised to minus 34 joule seconds. Okay, what is our observation here? The amount of energy associated with the quantum of radiation is always directly proportional to the frequency of radiation. Okay, and based on using this is what the quantum theory, revolutionary quantum theory. Who proposed this theory? Max Planck. Okay, so by using this quantum theory, Max Planck successfully explained the phenomena of black body radiation both at the lower wavelengths and as well as the higher wavelengths. And using the same quantum theory, Einstein successfully explained his phenomena of photoelectric effect in the year of 1905, and for that also Albert Einstein was awarded a Nobel Prize in the year of 1923. I already told you that both these scientists, Albert Einstein and Max Planck, are the considered as the two pillars of modern physics. Okay, they are pioneers of the modern physics, and later based on the quantum theory all the problems has been resolved. Means Bohr successfully explained the stability of atom, and hydrogen atoms, we already learn about hydrogen atom, spectrum of hydrogen atom, which consists the Lyman series, Bowman series, Sharp series, diffuse series, fundamental series, etc. Means all the problems has been resolved after the invention of the quantum theory proposed by the Max Planck. So uh, so the phenomena means what is this quantum mechanics actually? Means quantum mechanics is defined as it is the phenomena, actually the phenomena of realm or the rearrangements of the atoms and nuclei and its elementary particles like electrons or protons or neutrons are generally referred to as the quantum phenomena. And when we applied some mathematical concepts to the quantum phenomena, is known as the quantum mechanics. So quantum mechanics, we can say that indirectly or directly, we can say that the quantum theory is the origin for the quantum mechanics. Quantum theory proposed by Max Planck, it is the origin for the, we can say that it is the origin of quantum mechanics, or in other words we can say that quantum mechanics was developed from the quantum theory proposed by Max Planck. Who used the quantum theory first? Max Planck was used this quantum theory successfully in order to explain the black body radiation. By based on this theory only, Planck successfully explained the phenomena of black body radiation. Later, Einstein also used this theory to explain his phenomena of photoelectric effect, and both the scientists were awarded Nobel Prizes for their inventions. Okay, this is what the brief history of quantum introduction of quantum mechanics. Okay, now let us enter into the our actual syllabus of quantum mechanics. Okay, our first topic from quantum mechanics is the concepts of waves and the particles. Okay, the concept of waves and particles. Now let us see one by one. First, let us focus on the particle, and then we go for waves. Okay, what is particle actually? See, if you see any here in the space, there exist several particles. We can see or we can unseen. See, and what is the first important characteristic of a particle? We can say that the concept of particle we can easily understand. See, you may take any particle, definitely it should possess a particular mass, isn't it? For example, you may take electron, whether electron has the mass or not. Yes, anyone? What can you tell me what is the mass of the electron? You unmute yourself and tell me the mass of electron. Anyone, can you tell me what is the mass of an electron? Value, mass value, mass of an electron. Anyone, you can unmute yourself and tell me the answer. My question is
1.6 into 10 to the power of minus 19.
no beta, it is the charge of electron. Of course that is right, but it is the charge of electron. 1.602 into 10 raised to minus 19 coulombs. It is the charge of an electron. But I am asking what is
9.1 into 10 to the power of minus 31.
Exactly. Right. Very good answer. Very good answer. So mass of the electron is 9.1 into 10 raised to minus 31. What are the units beta? Kgs. SI units are kgs. Okay, you may take proton or neutron also. It also possesses some particular mass. It is 1.674 into 10 raised to minus 27 kgs. Isn't it? You may take any particle, it should have a mass. It definitely possesses a particular quantity named as the mass. So we can say that the particle is specified by means of a mass. Okay, generally mass is denoted by the either small with the small letter or with the capital letter, depends on the situation, right? So the first important characteristic of a particle is every particle should possess a particular mass. So once it has the mass, we can easily locate the particle to a certain particular location or to a definite point, isn't it? So that the particle can move from one place to another place, isn't it? So if the particle can move from one place to another place, what does it mean? It possesses some velocity, isn't it? If the particle is in motion, what does it mean, beta? It possesses some velocity. As the particle is in the motion, so that it definitely possesses some velocity. So we can also specify the particle by means of velocity. Velocity is also one of the characteristic of a particle. See here, once the particle will have the mass, once it possesses the velocity, obviously it possesses the momentum, isn't it? Why? Because momentum is the product of the mass and velocity, isn't it? So once the particle possesses the mass and if it possesses the velocity, obviously it will possess the momentum. See, once it possesses the momentum, once it possesses the mass, obviously it possesses the energy or kinetic energy, isn't it? Why? Because kinetic energy is equals to half mv square or p square by 2m, isn't it? See here, p is there, m is there, v is there. See, obviously if it possesses a p and m, definitely it possesses some energy, isn't it? So ultimately one can conclude that here every particle is specified by its mass, velocity, momentum and energy, isn't it? So these are the four important characteristics. So you need to keep it in your mind. So what are the characteristics of a particle? One is mass, another one is the velocity, and third one is the momentum, fourth one is the energy. If it better to make a note of it, right? In a shortcut you can write. Okay, I will observe it daily, randomly I will observe your notes. Okay, right. So what are the characteristics of a particle? Mass, velocity, momentum and energy.
Energy.
Yes, energy. These are the four characteristics we can observe. Okay, and what is our next concept? That is, yes, it is wave. It is a wave. So the concept of wave is a bit complicated to understand, comparing with the concept of particle. And now I have a question for you. Yes, if I leave a stone in a constant water, okay, what you will observe? Some water is constantly there. Okay, I am leaving one stone in that water. What you will observe?
The surface get disturbed.
Yes, exactly. And you can able to see some waves are generated from the origin, and they can transfer from one place to another place, isn't it? So what
Yeah,
from this
with
one
certain
can
frequency.
yes, from this one can define a wave. What are the waves actually? Say simple, wave is a spread out disturbance in which that can transfer some energy from one place to another place, isn't it? And see, if we take any mechanical wave, you can see what you will observe in the wave means all the particles are always in the vibrations. Okay, all the particles inside the wave are always in the vibration. See, if you may take the mechanical wave, means you take a mechanical wave means either it may be longitudinal or the transverse wave. You know very well that in what you will see in the longitudinal wave, the particles vibrations are always in the wave propagation direction. Okay, what you will observe in the longitudinal wave, always the particle vibrations are along the wave propagation direction, whereas in the case of transverse wave, the particle vibrations are perpendicular to the wave propagation direction. This is what we observe. So that in longitudinal wave we will able to see the compressions and also the rarefactions, and whereas in the case of transverse wave, you know very well that what you will see, crest and troughs. Okay, see here the number of vibrations per unit time. What does it means? What is the name of it? Number of vibrations per unit time. It is known as the frequency. It is named as the frequency. So a wave is specified by, what is the first characteristics of a wave? It is frequency. Frequency is number of oscillations or number of vibrations per unit time. And see here the distance between the two successive troughs or two successive crests is called as the wavelength. So a wave is also specified by means of a wavelength. Generally frequency is denoted by nu or the letter n or the letter f. Okay, in some textbooks notations are different. Okay, you can denote it by nu or n or f, whatever it may be, but wavelength is always denoted by the Greek letter lambda. Okay, and c, it is specified by means of nu means wave is specified by frequency and wavelength. Of course, see what is the third property of the particle? Particle possesses the velocity, isn't it? Second property. Yes, here wave also possesses the velocity, but it is called as the wave velocity, phase wave velocity, denoted by v suffix p. Okay, velocity is denoted by v. Velocity of the phase wave is denoted by vp. Okay, and next important characteristic of the wave is the maximum displacement of the particle. Okay, maximum displacement of the particle is called as the amplitude. It is called as the amplitude. So wave is also specified by means of amplitude. Generally amplitude is denoted by a. And the next one is the intensity, which is the square of the amplitude. Square of the amplitude is always proportional to the intensity. Okay, these are the properties of a wave. So we can specify a wave by means of frequency, wavelength, wave velocity, amplitude and intensity. Okay, here you can see. So particle is specified by mass, velocity, momentum and energy, whereas wave is specified by means of frequency, wavelength, wave velocity, amplitude and intensity, isn't it? These are the properties or the characteristics of both particle and wave. Okay, now let us move to the next topic, that is the wave particle duality. Now, before we discuss this topic, now I have a question for you. Can you tell me whether the light, so we have a light is there, okay? I will focus on the two aspects here. First, I will focus on the light and then I will focus on the matter, okay? Let us see. First, I will focus on the light, okay? So, now tell me whether the light will exhibit particle nature or wave nature. Anyone, you can unmute yourselves and tell me the answer. Now my question is, listen my question again, whether the light,
Both, sir.
the light, yes please,
Wave
It
nature,
is
sir.
duality.
Wave
Both it
nature, sir.
takes.
yes, exactly. So light will exhibit the dual nature, isn't it? Means sometimes it exhibits the particle nature and sometimes it also exhibits the wave nature, isn't it?
Wave nature.
That is called as the wave particle duality, isn't it? Now let us see how it is happens. Okay, for that here I wrote the properties of one side I wrote particle and one side I wrote wave, which we have discussed earlierly right now, isn't it? Just now we have discussed about the particle and its properties here, wave and its properties here. And here see, here we have the how many theories are there. One is wave theory is there, another one is the particle theory is there. Particle theory means what? Our quantum theory. Who proposed this theory? Max Planck. Okay, particle theory is the our quantum theory and another theory is the wave theory. Okay, one side I wrote wave theory, another side I wrote particle theory. Okay, right. Now I will try to write some here I wrote some important properties of light. Okay, here you can see all are the light, all these are the light properties only. Here I wrote some light properties such as interference and diffraction and polarization, and here also I wrote some light related phenomena such as photoelectric effect, Compton effect, isn't it? Right. Now see, if we observe these three phenomena, see, wave theory successfully explain these properties, but wave theory fails to explain these two properties. Okay, both are related to light only. All these phenomena are related to light only, but wave theory only explain these phenomena, but it failed to explain these two phenomena, which are again related to light. Okay, and coming to here, on the other hand, if we see the quantum theory successfully explain these phenomena, but it fails to explain these three concepts. Okay, moreover, if we see the particle theory, see, according to the particle theory or quantum theory, the energy of the photon is equals to E equals to h nu, isn't it? Right? E equals to h nu. So what is this nu here? Nu is called as the frequency. Nu is called as the frequency. In which theory? According to which theory? Particle theory. But can you tell me what is the see this frequency? Frequency is a characteristic of particle or wave. Now my question is, this frequency is a
Wave.
characteristic of particle or a wave?
Wave.
Wave.
Yes, exactly.
Wave.
Here you can see frequency is the property of a wave, but this was according to particle theory only, isn't it? From this, what can we can give the conclusion? Our conclusion is, from this observation, one can conclude that light will sometimes exhibit the particle nature and sometimes it also exhibits the wave nature, isn't it? This is called as the wave particle duality of light. Means our conclusion is, from this observation, what is our conclusion? Light travels in the form of waves and it absorbs the energy or gives the energy or receives the energy or gives out the energy in the form of particles. Particles are in the form of photons, isn't it? This is called as the wave particle duality of light. Okay, now my question is, here we have observed that with this concept, we have concluded that light will exhibit the dual nature, both nature of particle and wave nature. Now my question is, I will focus on the matter. Okay, I will focus on the matter. Now my question is, whether the matter means you may take any material particle like proton or neutron or photon or neutron or proton, whatever it may be. Okay, you may take any material particle or matter, whether it exhibits the particle nature or wave nature. Yes, you can unmute yourself and tell me the answer. My question is, we have observed that light will exhibit the dual nature. Now my question is, whether the material particle like electron or proton, whether it exhibits the particle nature or wave nature. That is what my question.
Particle nature.
Anyone? Particle nature, okay.
Particle nature.
Okay, so that is a wrong concept actually. So we can get the answer from our next concept. Okay, the answer for that question you will get from the concept of de Broglie hypothesis or the origin of matter waves. Okay, we will see the answer for the question in this concept. What is the next concept? What is our next concept? De Broglie. De Broglie is a scientist name. You can see him here. So he is a de Broglie, right? De Broglie hypothesis and the concept of matter waves. See, what happens? De Broglie suggested that. So he just blindly suggested that, means for his suggestions he doesn't have any practical evidences. De Broglie suggested that just like the symmetry in the nature, just based on the symmetry in the nature, he think like this: if light exhibits the dual nature, why can't the matter exhibit the dual nature? Isn't it? Just based on the symmetry in the nature, means if see, rose smells good, lily also smells good, isn't it? And jasmine also smells good, isn't it? Means just like this, based on the symmetry in the nature without any practical evidence, blindly he suggested that if the light exhibits the dual nature, material particle or matter also exhibits the dual nature only. He suggested that in his theory named as the de Broglie hypothesis. So later, of course, later this concept was practically proved. Okay, this theory was successfully proved by other scientists like Davison and Germer, G.P. Thomson in their experiments. They have provided the practical evidence for the de Broglie hypothesis in the latter. Okay, of course we have that concept also there. Davison and Germer experiment is also there in our syllabus. We will discuss later in our later session. Okay, now let us study the de Broglie hypothesis. Okay, what de Broglie suggested exactly? De Broglie suggested that blindly suggested that, so just like the light, any material particle, but here we have a condition is that, okay, any material particle, of course it exhibits the dual nature, okay, but here we have a condition is there. That condition is that particle should be in motion. This is what you need to remember. The particle must be in motion. Okay, so here we have to mention that any material particle which is in motion, okay, any material particle which is in motion, it definitely sometimes behaves like a particle, and sometimes it also exhibits the wave nature also. This is called as the wave particle duality of matter. Okay, wave particle duality of light is what? Light exhibits the dual nature. In the same fashion, what de Broglie suggested, just like the light, any material particle also, like electron or proton, whatever it may be, any material particle also exhibits the dual nature. But when, what is the condition here? That particle should be in the motion. That should be a moving particle. Here you can see moving particle. Okay, this is what the condition. If the particle in the rest state, de Broglie concept cannot be applicable. it cannot be applicable. So any wave obeys this condition is known as the de Broglie wave. Means which condition it should satisfy? De Broglie derived one expression for that. Okay, any material particle of mass m, if it moves with the velocity of v, definitely it behaves like a wave sometimes of wavelength lambda, and that lambda equals to h by mv or h by p. Okay, so what is the de Broglie equation? Equation 1 is nothing but the de Broglie equation. What is de Broglie equation? Any material particle of mass m which is in the motion, okay, means if it possesses the velocity v, okay, then it behaves like a wave of wavelength lambda, which is equals to h by mv or h by p. What is p here? M is the mass of the material particle and v is the velocity of the particle. Please make a note of it. It is very important equation. What is the de Broglie equation? Lambda equals to h by mv is a very important equation. Every individual should be remember this equation. Okay, I will ask tomorrow. Randomly I will ask you. Okay, what is de Broglie equation? You should say lambda equals to h by mv, sir. Okay, what are the factors? See, m is known as the mass of the material particle and v is known as the velocity of the particle and p is its momentum. P is known as its momentum, isn't it? So what is the de Broglie hypothesis? Actually, de Broglie suggested that just like the light, any material particle which is in motion, it will exhibit sometimes particle nature and also it exhibits sometimes wave nature. This is called as the wave particle duality of matter. This is known as the wave particle duality of matter. Okay, according to de Broglie hypothesis, here you can see, according to de Broglie's hypothesis, matter also behaves sometime as a particle and sometime as a wave. Okay, this is known as the wave particle duality of matter. Okay, right? So what is the de Broglie equation? According to de Broglie's concept, any material particle of mass m moving with the velocity v behaves like a wave of wavelength lambda equals to h by mv. See, this equation 1 is known as the de Broglie's equation, or it is also called as the wavelength of the matter wave. Okay, any wave obeys this condition is known as the matter wave, or it is also known as the de Broglie wave. Okay, any wave which obeys this condition. If we have a wave, if it is obeys this condition, then what is the name of that wave? We can call that wave as de Broglie wave, or it is also known as the matter wave. It is also named as the matter wave. Okay, what is the de Broglie equation? Lambda equals to h by mv. This equation is called as the de Broglie equation or matter wave equation or wavelength of the matter wave. Okay, and any wave obeys this condition is known as the matter wave or de Broglie wave. Okay, now let us try to derive this equation now. Okay, so we have seen the de Broglie equation, very good, right? Okay, now let us try to derive this de Broglie equation. Okay, derivation of de Broglie equation, which let us see, right? So we can derive the de Broglie equation both from the particle theory and the wave theory. Okay, from particle theory, according to the particle theory, from the who proposed the particle theory? Planck. From the Planck's quantum theory, we know that the energy of each photon is E equals to h nu, isn't it? Please make a note of it. E equals to h nu, isn't it? And also we know that nu is nothing but c by lambda. C equals to nu lambda, then nu equals to c by lambda. So you can simply replace this nu with c by lambda. Then this equation becomes E equals to hc by lambda. Okay, from where we extract this equation? This is from the quantum theory proposed by Max Planck. In this equation, h is known as the Planck's constant, c is the speed of light or velocity of light, lambda is the wavelength of radiation, isn't it? This is our next equation. Okay, and according to Einstein theory, from special theory of relativity, the famous energy mass relation is E equals to mc square, isn't it? E equals to mc square. Yes, m is the mass of the particle, here c is the velocity of light. Now, by equating these two equations, from equation 2 and from equation 3, both are represent the energy only. So, okay, if A equals to B, then B equals to C, then obviously A equals to C, isn't it? From equations 2 and 3, one can write mc square equals to hc by lambda, isn't it? Or in other words, you can cancel C on both sides. Yes, please. Please mute yourself, beta. Right. See here, you can cancel the C on both sides of this equation. Then obviously one can write lambda equals to hc by mc square. Now you can cancel C and C. Then obviously you will get lambda equals to h by mc. But see, our discussion is only confined to matter only, not about the light. In this concept, in the concept of de Broglie equation or de Broglie hypothesis, our focus is only confined to the matter only or material particles only. Okay, not on the light. What is this factor in the denominator? You can see C. What is C here? It is the velocity of light. Okay, but our focus is only on the matter. Okay, as per our initial assumption, what is the means we have to replace this velocity of light with velocity of material particle only. Then you will get the required expression. Okay, what is the velocity of material particle as per our initial assumption? We have assumed that velocity of the material particle is v, isn't it? Our velocity of the material particle is v, so that you just replace this c with the v now, isn't it? Then and then only you will get the required expression. Simply what we have to supposed to do now, simply we have to replace this speed of light or velocity of light with the velocity of the material particle v. Okay, simply replace c with v. Then what you will get? See here, lambda equals to h by mc. C is replaced now with the v. Then you will get the required expression, that is h by mv. H by mv or h by p. This is our required expression. What is this equation? This equation is known as the de Broglie's equation. This equation is, in this way you can derive the de Broglie equation. Simple. How you derive the de Broglie equation? Simple. Once you know the Planck's quantum equation or equation derived by the Planck, E equals to h nu. Once you know the E equals to mc square, then simply you can derive the de Broglie equation. What is de Broglie equation? Lambda equals to h by mv. How do you derive it? From these two relations. One is E equals to h nu, another one is E equals to mc square. Once you know these two relations, simply you can derive the required de Broglie equation, that is lambda equals to h by mv or h by p. In this way you can derive the de Broglie equation. De Broglie equation. Now here we have the two cases, special cases are there. Now let us see the first case. Okay, what is the case A? That is de Broglie wavelength. Case, our case A or case 1 is de Broglie wavelength associated with kinetic energy. Our case 1 is de Broglie wavelength associated with kinetic energy. Now let us try to derive the relationship between de Broglie wavelength lambda and kinetic energy E. Kinetic energy, generally it is denoted by capital E, isn't it? What is the general expression for kinetic energy of the material particle? Yes, if the m be the mass of the particle, v be the velocity, then obviously you know where it is a very well known relation, isn't it? If we know the m and v, then you can easily write the kinetic energy of the material particle. Simply it is E equals to half mv square. Okay, what is our intention here? In this case, we have to establish a relationship between de Broglie wavelength lambda and kinetic energy E. That is what our intention here. Okay, for that purpose, here I wrote the expression for the kinetic energy, that is E equals to half mv square. Or simply we can also, I can also write this equation. See, I will try to multiply this equation with m and divide this equation with m, which doesn't affect the result, isn't it? Here what I do exactly here, I just multiplied this equation with m and divide the equation with m, which doesn't affect the result. Obviously what happens here, m into m square v square by 2m, isn't it? But you know that what is mv here? mv is nothing but p, that is nothing but the momentum. P is nothing but the momentum. P equals to mv. Now simply this m square v square is replaced by p square and 2m. So we have E in terms of momentum. This is E in terms of mass and velocity. This is E in terms of momentum. Okay, or in other words, we can also write this expression as, see, p square equals to 2me, isn't it? We can write this equation, the same equation, as p square equals to 2me. Or in other words, you can write p, expression for p. I need the only the expression for p right now. Simply it is under root over 2me, isn't it? P equals to root over 2me. I think you are not noting down, no? Isn't it? Please make a note of it. These equations are important equations, right? P equals to root over 2me, right? Now, what is the de Broglie equation we have actually? Lambda equals to h by p. Now, what is the p value here in terms of kinetic energy E? P equals to root over 2me, right? Now, you just substitute this p value in de Broglie equation. Simply, by replacing this p with 2 root over 2me, you will get the required expression, which is our required expression. Okay, what is the relationship between the de Broglie wavelength lambda and the kinetic energy E? Yes, it is lambda equals to h by root over 2me, and this equation is very important to solve the problems. For the problem sake, it is very important equation, so that you need to remember, right? So what is the de Broglie wavelength associated with the kinetic energy? De Broglie wavelength lambda equals to h by root over 2me. This is relationship between lambda and E. E is the kinetic energy. Now this is our case 1 or case A. Okay, now let us see the case 2. Okay, what is our case 2 or case B? De Broglie wavelength associated with electron. Means, for example, means material particle means anyone, isn't it? Either it may be electron or proton, whatever it may be. For particularly for the case of electrons, okay, here our condition, okay, de Broglie wavelength associated with particularly for electrons. Okay, now let us see. So for that purpose, you just imagine an electron is accelerated, electron of mass m. Suppose we have an electron, its mass is m. It is accelerated by means of a potential V. Okay, you just imagine that our electron is being accelerated by means of a potential of V volts. Okay, then obviously it possesses some kinetic energy. You know very well that if E be the charge of electron and E be the applied potential, then what is the kinetic energy experienced by the electron? Obviously it is the product of E and V, which is our next equation. Okay, that is 8th equation. Okay, we have E equals to EV. Now, what is our intention here? We have to establish a relationship between lambda and electron, charge of electron E. Simple, you just substitute this E value in the previous relation. Okay, what is the previous relation? Lambda equals to h by root over 2me. So what is this E here? Kinetic energy, right? Now you just substitute the E value in 7th equation. Okay, what is the E value here? E into V. Means by simply substituting this 8th equation in the 7th equation, okay, you can easily get the required expression. Okay, by making the substitution of equation 8 in equation 7, you will get the required expression. See, this equation 9 represents the relationship between lambda and electron, charge of electron E. See, if we see this equation, except to potential, rest of all the factors are the constant factors, isn't it? See, h is the Planck's constant, whose value is 6.625 into 10 power minus 34. M is the mass of electron, whose value is 9.11 into 10 raised to minus 31 kg. E be the charge of electron, that is 1.632 into 10 raised to minus 19 coulombs. Okay, of course, it is 12:58. Okay, time is up, so don't leave the meeting. I will try to